Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Health Hunt, the human, humble, and humorous exploration of how to really level up your health. All right. Today, we're talking about something that no one wants to do. After going through it myself, I actually think it's one of the most important things you can do for your health. A colonoscopy. I got mine early. Everything came back clean, thank goodness, which is exactly what you want. And in this episode, I want to walk through my experience, what actually happens, the prep, yes, we will go there, and why this is more about prevention than anything else, and what you can actually do to keep your colon healthy day to day. Because recently, I've had multiple friends tell me, I'm finally getting my colonoscopy. They'd call me or text me, and because they kind of mentioned it for a couple years here and there. Or, I'm not doing a colonoscopy, I'm doing Cologuard. And we'll talk about what Cologuard is briefly. Or, hey, Dan, have you heard there's a blood test right now? Yup, there is a blood test. You've probably seen the commercial, and if you haven't, you will. It's called SHIELD. I don't have any much more information than that, but I just know that exists. So now we have blood, stool, and then we have the actual colonoscopy. But we'll get into all this stuff. But first, as we have to do with every episode, there's a quick disclaimer, which I actually enjoy reading. The Health Hunt podcast is for the informational and entertainment purposes only. We're not medical professionals, and nothing shared should be considered medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health. And that is my Micro Machine version of it.
Nailed it.
I nailed it. So now let's break this all down and hopefully make this a little bit less intimidating or hopefully informative. So why does all this matter? Why would you have this episode of colonoscopy and, episode, was it 26, Sandi, 27? What are we doing here?
Well, I don't know when we're releasing it, so never mind the number.
Okay, fine. But it's like, why colonoscopy? There's so many other things to talk about. Well, colon cancer used to kind of be thought of as an old person's disease. And I don't, this episode is not about colon cancer, but I want to just point out some things as perspective, top line, and then we can talk more about what we're intended to talk about, which is colonoscopy. So these are from some stats. I'm not going to, I have the sources. You can, if you want to talk about it offline, to our 20 listeners, you can. But basically, rates in adults under 50 have been rising since the 1990s. People may know this. They may have seen articles about this in the news, TV. Incidences are increasing 2 to 3% a year in younger adults. So in today, about 1 in 5 cases of colon cancer are in people under 55. This is different. This is not the way it used to be. This is trending younger. And it's exactly why the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force lowered the screening age from 50 to 45 in 2021. So just for all our listeners out there, the age has been lowered from 50 to 45. Maybe your primary care physician has alerted you to this, but this is very real, and there's a reason why they've done so. So we're not doing colonoscopies because we expect to find cancer. We're doing them to prevent it entirely. Colonoscopies are one of the few things in medicine, at least in my opinion, and just from the test itself, that are diagnostic and preventative at the same time. So the colonoscopy versus what we may call the easier options. The colonoscopy is the standard. Okay, so it's done every 10 years if you're at normal and average risk, meaning you had one and then there was no findings and you don't have a family history. Talk to your doctor again. That's as much as I'm going to say about that specific thing. But if they find a polyp, they'll remove it in the real time during the test. Again, detection and prevention. And just to demystify, if you haven't had one, if you have had one, you're having visuals as I say this. During a colonoscopy, the doctor guides a thin, flexible camera through your colon to look for abnormalities. If they see small growths, and these growths are called polyps, they can remove them right then and there. So it's just not a checkup. It's stopping problems before they start. And yes, you are completely asleep the whole time. This is the best moment of your life. Trust me. I don't want to say a colonoscopy is my favorite thing to do because it's certainly not. But when you get put out, that's not so bad, Sandi.
I mean, this is debatable, but is this perhaps the sexiest conversation we've ever had?
Whoa.
Putting that out there.
I mean, everyone who's had a colonoscopy is running through the visual of their experience right now as I'm talking about this. So it's just pretty funny to know that they're doing it as I'm doing it.
Speaking of experiences, I didn't get the memo that the age was lowered to 45, but also I don't know that the age was even on my radar. I've probably talked about this, joked about this, but it's not actually, it's a real thing. I have like severe age dysmorphia. So I've talked about, I'm not going to say it out loud, I am turning a big age this year, and it is past the age that Dan has mentioned the recommendation for a colonoscopy, but like my brain just can't reconcile that. And so it's really hard when I hear about these testings, for certain age groups. I don't connect with it. And this is, I'm going to have to find a way to do that because I do need some of these tests. But just to put that out there, I have not had a colonoscopy, not even on my radar.
And just also to add to that, we're not telling you to get a colonoscopy. It's not, it's a personal decision. You have your health history, you have your own medical choices you want to make. So that is not the case here. I am just giving information, informing people of what's out there. And so now I mentioned Cologuard earlier. It's an at-home stool test. It looks for DNA markers in your blood. It's done every 3 years. And it's very convenient. It's sent right to your home. I think most insurances cover it. But here's the reality. Cologuard is good at catching cancer. It finds over 90% of the cases, as resources have indicated to me. But for precancerous polyps, it only finds about 40%. And about 1 in 10 people get a false positive. So I just want to stop right there, the false positive. So I've talked to a lot of people or anecdotally and heard that there was some marker that they had to go get a colonoscopy for. Then they go get the colonoscopy that they weren't going to get and nothing shows up. And so it can be, so we've kind of one of the themes we talk about in this podcast is chasing your health and false positives. And, very much similar to what we, talk about in Prenovo and other types of tests. It's chasing. Obviously, Cologuard, that's not the intent of Cologuard, but it's a very real possibility that it's a false positive or a false negative. So that does exist. And I just wanted to mention that.
No, because that's a stressful thing to go through. Because obviously the minute that you hear there's potentially something there, your brain goes through all the things, right? Yep. And you don't think, well, maybe it's a false positive. You have the reaction that if someone told you had cancer. And so I don't know how you get around that because I don't know what kind of superhero human you have to be like, oh, maybe it's not real.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those. And so the reason why I even bring this up and why, is that I had my colonoscopy early and then I went to I established care with a gastro recently. Very smart person, really enjoyed the conversation, had some interesting things to say, but kind of issued me a Cologuard in between my first colonoscopy and what will be my next one soon. And I was just I got the Cologuard and been thinking, and I'm sitting at it and I'm like, well, why do I want to take this? Like, what's it going to do? It's going to either tell me nothing or it's going to tell me to go get a colonoscopy, which I'm going to get anyway soon. So, and she knew these facts. I told her, I've gotten my first colonoscopy. We reviewed that report and then my next ones will come soon. And she still issued this test anyway. So it's got me thinking, and I'm going to make my own informed incision about this. I'm going to talk to some other people, but I don't know that I'm going to take the Cologuard. I think it just can cause more headache than helpfulness.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's a good point.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if anyone else out there has had this, but I don't know that there's a protocol that's consistent where it's colonoscopy, Cologuard. I get it, but it's too much. So
I think it feels like overkill a little bit. And I think that's maybe what's happening. There's so much liability that the doctors face these days. And so I guess they want to be extra cautious and do more things and in theory be more proactive. But like you said, it's like, is there a benefit? You're on your regular schedule. And so do you need it?
All right. So in full disclosure, we just took a couple second break because I had a cough. So we had to just kind of pause it for a second. But I did, as a podcaster should not do, check my phone during this little mini cough break. And as I checked my phone, I got an update text from Cologuard asking me if I had taken my test as a reminder, literally as I was talking about this section and segment in the podcast. So
they're listening to us.
So I don't know what's going on with this Cologuard thing, but I got to look into it. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but the phones are listening. All right. So let's talk about this colonoscopy thing, the real experience. The colonoscopy prep. Is everyone out there getting their visuals ready? For me, I took something called SUPREP, basically sodium, potassium, magnesium. It's like a Drano for your digestive system. It really is. It clears everything out and makes it all clean. And the reason why this is important, and this is the part that everyone talks about is, I can't eat for a day. And I got to be taking this solution to clear out my colon, is because there's something called the Boston Bowel Preparation Score. And this is kind of the score that the doctor uses who's giving you the colonoscopy, the gastro, to understand, how clean, how quality is the view of your colon. What does it look like? And it's because there's an accuracy score. I think it's 1 to 10 or 1 to 7. I can't remember. And that score matters because if it's low, if you're like at a 3 and 10 is optimal, then it wasn't the best test. And so the results that you're getting might not be optimal and may have to either retest or it's just something to asterisk as you approach your next test. But the prep does suck, and you do need to be kind of close to the bathroom, to the porcelain god. I mean, you don't want to be, go walk into a CVS that's a mile away and then be taking your prep. You will be an Olympian getting back to your apartment if you do so. So I'm just warning you, if you can sprint, then you're good. But otherwise, stay home. Just chill out near the bathroom.
The plan accordingly, PSA.
So I've kind of mentioned most of the procedure already. It's just a procedure. You show up, you get set up, you get put into a hospital gown. You get, it's almost like you're checking into a hospital and like you're going in for a major surgery, even though you're not. So, I mean, I'll stop there and say, and I didn't think about this initially, is that you are in a hospital gown, like they are taking your vitals and getting you prepped for a, diagnostic test. So if you are a person that's nervous being in hospitals and being in a medical setting like this, I guess maybe because I took mine at a hospital, but I do assume that if it's even at a doctor's office, it kind of feels like medically and hospitally kind of thing. So it's just something to know. It's not, obviously you're not going to get heart surgery or, but it's, you kind of feel like you're being set up to. So there's a little kind of mind body type thing going on there. And just to make everyone aware. But again, I'll mention here, and this is, you're ready to go. You get into that room. There's probably a couple assistants and the gastro who, does these tests. Like he's doing one like every 30 minutes. It's not like, you're like the third person he's ever done. He's going to see anything is strange. This is a factory. People get these all the time. And so the severity or the risk here is really, really low. And just my opinion, these doctors are doing this all the time. So, then you get a anesthesiologist coming in or someone of that sort who would give propofol to you. Propofol knocks you out. I think I mentioned 5 to 30 seconds, you are gone. You wake up and you are in a different room. Test is done. Your results are in, and you're kind of just a little bit groggy, and you're going to need a ride home. You're going to need whether that's an Uber or a friend, because even though you get back up pretty good, it's just, for safety purposes, you're going to need that ride home. So, as I mentioned, the results then and there, at least for me, I assume for most people, do you have polyps? Is there inflammation? Is there nothing? Do they need to send your polyps to a lab to see, what the polyps look like? So, again, 10 years if you're average and you have no family history is kind of the protocol. Could be shorter at this point. But again, the huge takeaway here is this is prevention, not just detection. So I just want to drive that point home. So the theme here with colonoscopy is prevention. That's the point of this podcast. There's been a lot of details up until now, but let's unpack prevention. And in doing so, let's hand it over to Sandi for some prevention conversation.
Thank you. So I am not a colon expert. Like I said, it's not on my radar. I don't worry about it. I mean, we've talked about before with magnesium, I like things to be moving, but it's not something that I think about on a daily basis. So when Dan and I had talked about having this conversation, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of research on, again, prevention and what do you do to keep your colon healthy and happy? Okay, so let's just zoom out for a second and talk about some of the things you can do in your daily life, because, things that you should be doing in between your 10-year doctor's office appointments or your Cologuard or whatever you're doing. So really, like, your daily habits probably matter more than you even realize. So the first one is fiber is your foundation. And if anyone has listened to the episodes that we did with Dr. Jerry Hu, which I believe are episodes 25 and 26, he actually talked about fiber as a foundation for sort of everything. We talked about gut health. And so it's true that most people are getting way less fiber than they should, and your colon is feeling that. So what fiber does is, again, talked about liking this, it keeps things moving, but it also feeds your gut bacteria. And so you want good gut bacteria. And it also helps reduce inflammation in the colon, which again, is good because if you sort of go back to the research, inflammation can really be a trigger for a lot of disease all over the body. So obviously we don't want an inflamed colon. So for fiber, we're talking about things like vegetables, fruits. Obviously you want to be mindful of sugary fruits, things like beans, whole grains. Basically, if it came from the ground, it's probably making your colon happy.
Sandi, do you think we could do a like a rock and roll inflamed colon shirt? You know what I'm saying? Like it'd be very 80s rock.
Oh, I mean, I for sure have never thought about that. So I appreciate that and the visual that we've given everybody.
I'm sorry I ruined your flow, but I just thought of like this flaming colon
No,
and then like, yeah.
I'm here for that. Flaming colons.
Like Motley Crue, Warrant, Cherry Pie, like metal band type thing.
Like with the circle and X, like the corrosive or whatever the, like,
sure.
don't do this, stop. Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
carry on.
I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
So I mentioned gut bacteria and what fiber is doing. So like I said, when you're eating fiber, you're feeding the good gut bacteria. And you may have heard this again. I think Dr. Jerry, who mentioned it in the episodes, these are called prebiotics. Basically, they are the fuel for your good gut bacteria in your colon. And when those bacteria are well fed, they produce compounds like short chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation, which we said we want. They support a healthy colon and the colon lining. And in doing that, they could protect against cancer development. So this is about keeping you in an environment that maybe lowers your risk. Okay, obviously there's hereditary issues and things like that. And so it's really not just about like going to the bathroom regularly. It's about creating this environment from inside your gut. And it's also not just about more fiber. Variety is important. So different plants feed different bacteria. So if you're eating like the same, and I'm air quoting for people who can't see us, healthy foods every day, you're sort of feeding the same small group of microbiome. And when you mix it up, different types of fruits, vegetables, grains, things like that, you're creating a much more diverse and more resilient microbiome. And so that's what we want, because that's going to prevent a lot of disease and other even digestive issues. And all of that, like that healthy, diverse microbiome is also strongly linked to better colon health. So just something to consider. And it's actually something like I've talked about before. I'm a vegetarian. And so, yes, I mean, we're talking about eating fruits and vegetables and beans and things like that. But I'm kind of a creature of habit. I find things that I like and I eat very similar things all day. So I have to be mindful of creating and adding variety to my diet. And if you guys had heard some of the episodes with the health coach, Debbie Ropo, that we brought on, she has a philosophy about rainbow eating. And so that's kind of a good guide. I think if you're getting lots of different colors of things, you're obviously increasing the variety of different types of foods. So on the flip side of this, there's a lot of things that can also work against the environment. And I'm not going to go into these very deeply, but I'm just going to touch on them. So these are diets that are high in processed meats, excessive alcohol. So again, we're not here to be the fun police. I love a little bit of tequila, but excessive drinking can have an impact on the colon. And smoking. Again, people know they shouldn't smoke, but I'm not here to be that type of police, but it's something to be mindful from.
Does anyone smoke anymore? Like, is that really a thing? People still smoke cigarettes?
Yes, because I was at a casino nearby watching a band that I friends with people, and I was I was literally shocked that people were just. It's maybe because the type of casino it is. It's the Seminole, so
okay.
It's or I don't know. It's coconut, whatever. Anyway, I guess you can smoke in there. I was shocked. I looked around and I was like, remember? By the way, just as a segue, you remember when there was a smoking section on the airplane or in restaurants?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, remember how stupid that is? Because like you're in one big tube in the sky and some people are smoking and others are not. Anyway.
At Miami Airport, there is and I'm not sure if it's still TGI Fridays, that is englassed. There's a part that's englassed and it has like an air filtration system up, and it's like a smoker's lounge for the restaurant.
Oh.
I don't know if that still exists, but like, what is the deal, you know?
I mean, that's like my nightmare because, I mean, my hair is like a sponge for scents. And so if anyone's near me smoking, I got to go get a new blowout the next day. And I don't have time for that. So, okay. So moving on, let's go back to a few things that really support the system. And these are very intuitive. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. There's no rocket science here. The first one is movement. So regular physical activity is linked to lower colon cancer risk. And it's nothing extreme. This can just be like walking outside, maybe doing some light lifting, a little bit of sports. All of that counts. The movement is just really good for you, and it's better not to. And this is for health in general, but it's also specifically linked to colon health. And again, something we like to talk about all of the time, sleep. And going along with that, like getting good sleep and lowering your stress matters because, again, the topic of inflammation, chronic inflammation in the body is a big driver of disease, including cancer and including cancer in the colon. So, poor sleep and high stress, again, more inflammation disrupts the gut health because things aren't doing what they need to at night. So over time, that can, in theory, impact your colon. And in that line, too, we talked about movement, maintaining a healthier weight. So higher body fat, especially the visceral fat, is linked to a higher increase. So obviously we just want to be mindful of that. And then the last thing I want to mention is don't ignore the symptoms. And again, this goes across everything we talk about on this podcast. And sometimes you don't even know what a certain symptom means in relation to a particular part of your body, but it's important. So even if you're doing, again, air quoting, everything right, don't ignore the signs that your body is giving you. So that's things like blood in your stool. I can't imagine most people see that and they're like, no big deal. But maybe you think it's something short term, but that's certainly something you should have investigated. Or persistent changes in bowel habits. And that could really mean sort of a myriad of things. But also unexpected weight loss or unexplained weight loss. That might sound great if you're trying to lose weight, but if you're really not doing anything that's changed in your daily life, that is something to investigate. So don't brush them off, get them checked. And big picture, again, this is somewhat of a mind-body element, but you can't control everything. So stressing about it, worrying about it, trying to do all the things is also going to cause you potentially other problems. And while you can't control everything, you can control some of your daily activities and the environment that your body lives in every day. And the healthier the environment, the lower your risk over time. It's pretty simple.
All right, so if there's one takeaway from all this, it's don't wait until something feels wrong. The colonoscopy is a prevention tool. The good news? Screening works. Prevention is possible. And in many cases, this is avoidable. So here's your move. If you're 45 or older, talk to your doctor about getting a colonoscopy or some type of screening. Begin to have these conversations. If you have symptoms, don't ignore them, as Sandi just said. And regardless of your age, start taking your daily habits seriously, lifestyle, movement, diet, everything. That's not a colonoscopy thing. That's just being a healthy human being thing. Because again, this isn't just about one test. It's about stacking the odds in your favor over time. And if this episode made you think about someone else, a friend, a partner, a parent, send it to them. Maybe it's motivating. It's one of these conversations that can actually save a life. And yeah, the prep still stalks, but not as much as finding something too late. And so the real reason why I did this entire episode is this last part. And I'll leave you with these dad jokes. I simply cannot record this podcast without saying this. Don't be an asshole, and don't put yourself in a position to be shit out of luck.
And there you have it. We will see you next time on The Health Hunt.